Good morning, gentle viewer. Thank you for joining me for another Lifestyle Friday. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my faves for the month of April and also my recent library haul. So let's get started. I mentioned in a few of my recent videos that my skin has been very sensitive to all the changes in weather. Our last two duty stations were two places where the weather just didn't fluctuate much during the year. It pretty much stayed the same. So having moved from those locations to Virginia where there are actual seasons, it's been very tough on my skin. So I've been using this charcoal mask pack. It's by Kina Cosmetics. And I do prefer sheet mask. It's just much easier to apply and it's not as messy. And while it's on my face, I can still put my glasses on over it. So that way I can read a book and just relax while it's sinking into my skin. I find that the charcoal masks are both very gentle and yet also just leave my skin feeling so refreshed. The next day I see such a difference in my skin. These are so amazing. Another skincare product I've been enjoying recently is this. It's the Aveeno Ultra Calming Nourishing Night Cream. It's made with calming feverfew and nourishing oat. And I tend to find night creams just way too heavy on my skin, like they can feel very greasy, or I wake up the next day and my skin just looks very oily. But I find that this one is somehow very rich, and yet also my skin just absorbs it. Using this overnight just helps my skin feel very moisturized the next day. And you've been watching my Makeup and Manuscript Monday videos, you notice I've been using the Neutrogena Hydro Boost Hydrating Tint. I don't wear a lot of makeup and I don't really wear foundation or anything like that. So this is just a very lightweight, very sheer moisturizer. I love it for everyday use. It's just really easy to build coverage where you need it and it blends in really well, but it doesn't create a bunch of oil on my face. I'm trying to do like a once a week pampering sort of routine. I'm not super into bath bombs or bubble bath. Okay, drink every time I say this, but I have very sensitive skin and my body's very sensitive to chemicals and fragrances. So I find those things just way too powerful for me most of the time. But I picked up this recently. It is the Mayfair Soap Foundry Bath Salts in Grapefruit Bergamot. And the grapefruit bergamot smell is just so refreshing. It's not overly sweet or cloying. It's not too perfumed. It's just a very refreshing sort of smell. And since it comes like this, I can control how much goes in there. Sprinkle a little bit of this into the water as it's filling up, and it adds just a really pleasant fragrance. It makes the experience so much more luxurious without being too overwhelming. This is a reusable drink tumbler. I've been searching and experimenting with a lot of reusable tumblers, and you'd think to yourself, well, it's a pretty simple mechanism, but I am very picky with the products that I use, and when I find one I really like, I will use it until it's completely destroyed. This one is by Built New York, and it is in the rose gold color, and I like that it's very simple, it's very streamlined, it is stainless steel instead of plastic, and I find stainless steel much easier to clean by hand. And it's a very simple lid mechanism, so it just pops out. So it's not spill resistant, but I like the simplicity of it. And it has two openings, one if you're gonna drink warm or hot coffee, and the other opening is for a straw. So you could use this with hot or cold drinks easily. I have a smaller hand, so it fits my hand very well, but it has a great weight and heft to it. The slight texture on the outside makes it very easy to grip, and of course it'll fit easily into any size cup holder. Now speaking of straws, these are reusable stainless steel straws. And I've used several different kinds of reusable straws over the years in an effort to try and move away from disposable one-use plastic straws, and I really like these. They do not have a bend, they are straight up and down. There are reusable straws that have a bend to them, but I find this straight without a bend style much easier to clean. And they are also slightly larger than a standard straw. They do make reusable straws in the standard size, but having these be slightly larger means that I can also use these with smoothies, and I like a very dense, very thick smoothie, and these still work with those. And even though they are a larger size, they still fit into most standard size straw openings. One thing I will say with the steel over the glass reusable straws is that they are very easy to clean because of the shape and because they are wider, but they also do transfer temperature. So if you're drinking something very cold and your teeth are very sensitive to temperature, that's something to keep in mind because these also will get very cold. The last item on my favorites list is this bag. It says Library and Chill, and it's by the company Seltzer Goods. And I actually picked this up when I was shopping at the San Diego Public Library's store. We're going to the library once a month here while we're in Virginia, and I just needed a bag that I could quickly throw my books in, and I try to leave this near the door. That way whenever I finish a library book, it goes back in here so I don't forget to turn it back in. But I love the sassy design on it, and I've also stuck a couple of enamel pins here. There's a NaNoWriMo pin from last year and this adorable typewriter pin that I also picked up at the San Diego Library's store. Now, speaking of libraries, I did want to share my recent library haul. So I picked up The Search by Nora Roberts. The main character in this novel is a woman who runs a dog obedience school, and she's also the lead figure in a canine search and rescue group, and I just find that utterly fascinating to read. I love reading about lives that are very different from mine. The next book I picked up is Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo. I love Leigh Bardugo, and when I found out that she was writing the Wonder Woman young adult novel, I got so excited. So I finally picked this up from the library and I'm looking forward to reading it. The next book is book 3 of the Magnus Chase series by Rick Riordan. This is The Ship of the Dead. I finished the second book recently, so now I'm looking forward to diving into the third one. Over on my Kindle, I recently picked up Hollywood Roommates by Elizabeth Briggs. It is a reverse harem contemporary romance. It's about a curvy high school English teacher who, through circumstances, finds herself the housemate of 3 gorgeous Hollywood actors, and shenanigans ensue. I also picked up Do You Want to Start a Scandal by Tessa. It's part of the Castles Ever After series, and if you've read Say Yes to the Marquess, this is actually the older brother from that novel. So that's gonna wrap up my monthly favorites video. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing before you go. I hope you have a great Friday and that your weekend is full of creativity and positivity. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.